What's happening, guys? Happy Friday and welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty podcast. And on today's show, it is the Dynasty preview of the NFC West. And I'm going to cut this again because no one's watching yet. What's happening, everybody? Happy Friday and welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty podcast. And on today's show, we are going to be doing a Dynasty preview of the NFC West. And here to do all that with me is my good friend, is my co-host, is the man of the hour, and the man with the power. He is Jerry Sinclair. What's up on a Thursday, my friend?
Nothing. If you're watching on YouTube right now, the Hall of Fame game's going on. So we at least have a slight tease of a football game, which is always a good thing. But I'm good, my friend. Nice, beautiful weather. The football is in the air. That's what's important.
Yeah, I guess you can kind of call that football. It's weird, man. We want some DFS. We want some fun. We want football to be back, but what do you think the preseason's going to look like this year? You know, historically, game one you get about a series or two or three. Game two you may get a quarter. Game three is the dress rehearsal, and then game four is nothing. But this year we only have three. Is game two going to be the dress rehearsal? Is game three going to be the dress rehearsal? Because then there's like a bye after the third game. So what are your thoughts on the preseason for those that are maybe a little bit gambling degenerate? Like me.
I don't know. Like, are they really start like the no name the last week? I don't think they will. I think it'll be the same. I think it's still be week 3 in my opinion, and then I think next week, but week 2 probably going to be just the shit show where it's just everybody and it's horrible and that's that. But either way, it's at least thing.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of getting football back. I've been enjoying camp. I've been enjoying the camp videos. I've been enjoying a lot of stuff. So we don't have a ton of news, Jerry. So I'm just going to cut through some of the promo stuff real quick so we can get into the body of the show. We'll make this one a little bit shorter than the normal show. We did a redraft Q&A Wednesday night. Kyle's threatening to make it a podcast for Saturday. It was off the rails, Jerry. It was football, but it was way off the rails. And you missed it.
Yeah, I know. Listen, everything that's off the rails is always better, in my opinion, especially with Kyle, because he can stay on track from time to time. So when he panics, it's awesome.
It was fun. We shared a comment. So for those that are not watching on YouTube, first of all, shame on you. That's how you're going to get your questions read this season. Every show, if you ask a question in the live chat on YouTube, we will get to it, whether that's on the air or maybe it'll be a DM or maybe we'll answer here in the comments. But the YouTube, man, we're doing live stuff all the time. The Q&As are going to continue every Wednesday till the season starts. And you can support us by subscribing everywhere, leaving ratings and reviews. Jerry, it's been a hot minute since we've had a review. A hot minute.
What do y'all want me to do? Like, do I got to wear a tank top?
Fix your headphones.
I mean, would love to.
It could be anything. It
still sound like I'm underwater.
It sounds like you're scuba diving. It's fine. Okay. We can fix technical thing as we go. Jerry, what are you looking forward to most in Canton?
Meet all the people that I've interacted over this time. I mean, there's a lot of people that have been very influential. They've been good to me. That's what I'm looking forward to. It should be fun. There's a lot of people that I interact with, and I have better relationships with over the internet, as your wife would call them, your internet friends, than I do with people that I know in real life. Looking forward to putting a face to a weird avatar or just a weird person in general. So I'm excited for it. And to see you,
And hang out with me.
We have met before, but it was a very long meeting, and yet here every single week to talk to you. So it's going to be good to hang and chill.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and finish the promo work while Jerry gets rid of his scuba mask and his swim fins. He'll be right back. Like I said, the YouTube, they've got that going on. You can give us a 5-star review, iTunes, wherever you're listening. We're almost at 250. We're at 247. Would love to get 3 more, so you could be one of the 3. If you're listening on your phone or wherever, hit pause. Go into the rating and review section, especially on iTunes. Leave us a 5-star. That's how we grow the show. And don't be afraid to share the show. Right there on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever, there are 3 little dots. You push those 3 little dots, and there's a share link or share show. You do that. You can share it to Facebook, Instagram. Instagram's a little weird. You can only share it like via Spotify. But man, don't be afraid to hook us up with a share. And we will be back here next week with the final 2 divisions. We'll be back with the NFC North and the AFC North. And we are going to take just a second to hear a few minutes, a couple of words about our patron over at patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. All right, and big thank you for checking out the Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. We added a couple of new members this week. Everybody's getting ready for fantasy football season. It's redraft season. And yes, Jerry is still panicking. We didn't have much of a show sheet. The show sheet tonight was a little thin. So while Jerry is scrambling, I am going to start looking at, let's look at good people, bad tweets. So let's remember, good people. That's why we start this section with good people, because these are good people. They're putting takes out on the internet, but these are bad tweets and bad takes, and there's no shortage of them. So we are going to share one right now while I give Jerry a second. For those of you on the YouTube, you'll get a little bit of extra time hanging out with me, but let's get to a good person with a bad take. This take is from the Roto Surgeon, at Roto Surgeon on Twitter. He says, don't be shocked when Christian Kirk outscores Devonta Smith. Now, this tweet was done before the Devonta Smith injury. This just feels laughable. Absolutely laughable. You've got AJ Green in Arizona. You've got Rondale Moore, who is the newest Twitter darling. People absolutely love this guy, including our own Dallas Hyder, a.k.a. Mr. Salad Galore. They've got DeAndre Hopkins. And you know what? For as much as everybody thinks that the Arizona Cardinals are a super pass-happy organization, they're really not. They're more toward the middle of the league. They're around 600 total pass attempts. But Jerry, how are you doing with those new headphones? Well, Jerry is not doing okay with the new headphones because Jerry is working on getting those connected. So no, I just don't think there's a world. I think Devonta Smith will be back. He's competing. Now again, Kirk is competing with the likes of DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, Rondale Moore. He'll be lucky to see the field at all, barring an injury. Whereas Devonta Smith, when healthy, is the clear one in his offense. Jalen Reagor is getting yelled at by his head coach on a regular basis. And, you got J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Yeah, there's a little Dallas Goedert. Yeah, there's a little Zach Ertz. But sorry, my friend. Sorry, Roto Surgeon. That was a bad take. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice that Jerry has left me. So we're going to jump into this. One thing I'm going to jump into, this is normally something I would do on a patron level podcast, but is this something that popped in my mind as I was driving home from the baseball tryouts tonight for my son. So I'm thinking about patience. We have a lot of amazing patrons over at patreon.com/Dynasty WarZone. And I'll give you an example. The other day, one of our patrons jumped in with me and he was like, hey, I've got an offer to pick up another quarterback because I've got Carson Wentz in a Superflex draft. And I was like, okay, that's cool. That's a really good deal, actually. But does it have to be done today? Because the deal included him moving a 2022 first. And I was like, yeah, it's Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, it's a Superflex. But, man, if you can get that deal done week 1, when you know how many games Carson Wentz is actually going to move, then maybe you make that move on a contender. But on, a day in the 1st of August, you've got a month. So let's get through the next week. Carson Wentz is supposed to have a diagnosis after 2 weeks of surgery time. So not this coming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after, we should start getting the official clock of when he'll be back. So in Dynasty, it's always good to use a little patience. Speaking of patience, I had to have a lot to make sure that Jerry got them headphones working. Jerry, we back, kid?
I don't know. You tell me. How are we
Oh,
sounding?
you sound delightful.
Awesome.
Jerry is he is back. So we did talk about the Roto Surgeon's tweet where he said Devonta Smith would be outscored by Christian Kirk. Do you
yeah.
want to land on that? Because you put that, because again, if you're tweeting and you see in the comments at DWZ Memphis and the little hand holding the pen emoji, I'm going to make you famous. We're going to make you famous right here in the Dynasty Warzone. Jerry, anything to add to that before we get to the NFC West?
No, I am guessing you already handled it. It was dumb. I saw it when I was scrolling.
Jerry, let's not use terms like dumb. It was a bad take from a good guy.
Yes,
he's a good follow, and I want to say it was a moment of indifference.
Takey. Yeah, it's too hot takey for me.
He could have been
Yeah, hey.
Maybe he lives in a state like Michigan.
Yeah.
Where the devil's lettuce is recreationally legal.
That's true.
I don't know. I don't think that a surgeon in their right mind truly believes that Christian Kirk's going to outscore Devonta Smith. But here we go, man. I filibustered. I got us to this point. You're welcome.
You'd be a great senator.
I'll tell you the truth one time. I will lie to you like a senator. So we're going to break into the NFC West from a dynasty perspective. Jerry, give me your guy. Give me the guy you're looking to buy before he pops this preseason, before the price goes up. And what are you thinking? Who's your guy?
Well, you definitely threw me for a loop because you definitely said NFC North before we started this.
NFC, Jerry, I'm going to go. I'm going to give you a chance to pivot.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a chance to pivot, give you a chance to look. My guy's Trey Sermon. He is the RB25 per Fantasy Pros, and he's in kind of a range with guys like Kareem Hunt and Chris Carson. Here's the thing. I could see where maybe you would want Chris Carson over Trey Sermon, but you're not going to convince me I want Kareem Hunt, especially with the news that Nick Chubb just signed a 3-year extension. He's not going anywhere. I know Kareem Hunt signed an extension, I believe it was last year. He's not going anywhere. But let's talk about the offense in San Francisco. So since Kyle Shanahan has been the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, San Francisco has rushed the ball at least 408 times on a given season. The average over the last 4 years has been 438 rush attempts a season. That's 27 rush attempts a game. And Raheem Mostert's going to be involved a little bit. But let's say Raheem Mostert, when he's not hurt, because that's what Raheem Mostert does, is he's 28 and he gets hurt a lot. But let's say Trey Sermon gets 13 to 15 of those carries, maybe half, let's say 14. Sprinkle a little Mostert, sprinkle in a little Wayne Gallman. But I do believe this is the guy that you're going to want. He's the kind of guy that I don't believe in long term, but I want to get him now. I want him to flash in this offense, and I want to get rid of him this time next year. I'm not going to be as bold as to call him this year's James Robinson. James Robinson's 2020 was the unicorn season. You're not going to get another one of those very likely. But he's a guy that you can get right now at technically running back 3 prices as the RB25. So for me, I'm going to go Trey Sermon before he pops in a preseason game. We see this before. It's the Amir Abdullah rule. If you remember that game where Amir Abdullah broke one off, and I traded him to our very own Kyle for a 20-something first many moons ago. Jerry, what do you got? What do you got on Trey Sermon? Who did you come up with?
So that Javid Best game, I was actually there. I have
Javid Best is another guy. The old use him up. It's like leasing a car. You never intend on keeping this car. This is like leasing a running back. I'm going to lease Trey Sermon. I think he'll have some value, especially in the middle to late in the season. And then I'm going to turn him back over and buy something I actually want to keep, or buy a nicer model next year.
Yeah, I'm not super in on Trey Sermon. I get that he's a value and it's a nice, running back. And if they hit, then they're going to pop. He's not a dude that I love. He's something, but the guy I picked is a guy that I know you like, and it's Gerald Everett, tight end for the Seattle Seahawks.
I have him in another category.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's he's not like a super sexy pick like Trey Sermon. Like it's a vanilla take on my part, but he's just a dude that I think is going to emerge to be tight end relevant. And that is something that should be celebrated because of how piss poor that position group is. So my guy's Gerald Everett. I like him. I have tons of shares. And he's, Randy, like, where are you getting him in startups? My man is virtually free.
Well, let's go off script. I'll go ahead. I had him under my player that will outperform his current ADP per Fantasy Pros. He is the tight end 22 off the board. He's only 27. He's in a range with guys like Blake Jarwin, Pat Freiermuth, Cole Kmet. The biggest knock on Seattle's offense is that, Jerry, would you classify that as a rush offense?
Yeah, I would.
But it's actually slightly above the league average in pass attempts. So last year they were 15th in the league with 611 pass attempts, and they were 14th in the league at 59.8% of their plays are passes. So they actually rushed the ball above the league average on both a total attempt standpoint and a run to pass ratio standpoint. And then here's my next question. Who's the third option in the passing game in Seattle? Because I'm going to hear Tyler Lockett.
Yeah.
I'm going to hear DK Metcalf.
Of course.
I believe Dwayne Eskridge was the rookie, but I think he's been missing time in camp. And then it's Freddie Swain. And I would literally have to go to Our Lads or ESPN. So you're telling me there's an offense that has 600 pass attempts, that I could have a guy that could potentially get, if he got 100 targets this year, would you be stunned? Would you be floored?
I mean, no. Because like you said,
how many tight ends?
You said you had to go to Our Lads, and we're Dynasty people. Like, we have podcasts where
is Luke Wilson still there?
I don't think so. He's
what about Owen Wilson?
Whoa.
Wow. All right. So we clearly both like Gerald Everett. Yeah. I've actually got him as my tight end 3. So we're in a league. Jerry and I did a startup where not only do you want to flex an additional tight end, you have to. It's a must start 2 tight end league. I have Gerald Everett as my tight end 3 in that league. I've got him. I've got Higbee. I've got Hawkinson. I tell you, I love that group. I've got a top 5 guy. I've got a guy that has shown league-winning potential before in tight end premium. And then you got a guy like Gerald Everett with a quarterback like Russell Wilson. So we're on the same page there. So I'm going to give you a minute. I gave you the wrong division. It's because I'm a dick and wanted to make you look bad on the show.
Listen, I did.
But you don't need my help.
No, I don't.
You've never needed my help, Jerry. But you know what? But I'm sorry. All right. The guy that I'm looking to sell before training camp gets out is Rondale Moore. I just don't believe in this offense. I really don't. I will be looking to buy Rondale Moore this time next year. What I need out of Rondale Moore, I think at a 1 QB, he was probably a top 18 pick, somewhere probably around 16, 17, 18 in your rookie draft. And in a super flex, he was probably in the back end of the second round. He's the kind of guy that I really need about 3 more camp GIFs and a preseason game of greatness for this guy to get me a 2022 first, and I'm out. I am all the way out. Again, I don't believe in this offense with Cliff Kingsbury. Could it change? Sure it could. But what else could change is the value of Rondale Moore. I think you're going to get a nice sell window here in about 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'll be looking to buy back. I'm not permanently out on Rondale Moore. It's a short term being out on Rondale Moore. So for me, he's a guy that if I can turn a guy that I invested a second in, either a mid to late second, for any kind of a first, I'm in. I'm sold. Double that in a super flex league where you're going to have about 3 to 4 more quarterbacks next year, and that's why I'm looking to move Rondale Moore. Jerry, what you got, bud?
So once you told me it was the NFC West, I just wrote down names right off the top of my head. Just as soon as I thought of I went through each category, wrote the guy I thought. Mine was Rondale Moore as well. Same reason you just said. And here's the thing: like he's an extremely talented guy. He could easily rip something for a huge play, and it's going to be exactly what you just said, right? Like if my man goes for a 55-yard touchdown in the second half of the second preseason game against crumb bums and shoe clerks, it's not going to matter because the video will be circulated like it's methamphetamine, and everyone is going to be smoking in on it. So you are easily going to be able to return value. I am with you. I am like, I like that offense. I do. I just don't think he's built to be a dynasty asset. He can help that team win. He's just not going to help me win. So I will cash in on any hype that happens in this preseason or any Debbie value that is still residually existing in dynasty. So I am with you, my friend. Rondale Moore, we're a little too simpatico so far. So hopefully this next category gets a split going.
Yeah, I do want to yell at you quite a bit. So I was looking at Kyler Murray's, I guess, quarterback rating over the middle of the field from the line of scrimmage to about 20 yards out. That is where he really struggles. Now, he's a very highly rated passer as it relates to the deep ball, and he's not too shabby in the short to short. What a play on words. In that 0 to 10, but in that intermediate area, in that 10 yard to 20 yard range, he just does not excel, especially over the middle of the field. So if you're looking for like a shot play guy, a guy who might have an old school Deshaun Jackson 4 for like 137 and 2 occasionally, go for it. But to think that he'll be a consistent volume play, I would. And if he gets really hot, not only would I not take a first, but maybe I could get like a Terrace Marshall, who I believe in more long term, a little bit more value. Robbie Anderson's a free agent end of the year, so that was some of my thoughts on Rondale Moore. I do love the player. I'm not sold on his role in the offense, and I want to see a little bit more out of Kyler. So if I'm right, I might be able to get him at a discount next year. And if I'm wrong, well, it happens. I don't think I am, but I will. All right, Jerry, give me the guy you're going to be holding on to going into the season that you're going to look back on and be like, man, I just sold that guy. I should have sold that guy when I had the shot.
Easiest category for this entire division, I think it's Daryl Henderson, because he's the guy, right? Like, and he's going to consume the role. The Achilles is a hard thing to come back from if you're Cam Akers. That's Daryl Henderson's spot. You can talk about, the funk coming in and, taking any snap. That man, as far as a James Robinson, quote unquote, a dude that gets an absurd amount of workload, it's Daryl Henderson this year. And you're almost guaranteed that for the entire season. But if my man is a bum, right, Randy, his value next year is going to be absolutely zero, even with Cam Akers coming back from an Achilles tendon tear. He is just going to be absolutely useless. So I think that's a guy that I'm holding on to because of the situation where he's going to be the guy. And, you virtually had him on your team for free. He was a second-round rookie pick if you've held on to him. If you traded for him, he was even cheaper than that or pretty damn close. And, now he's thrust into this role where he's actually going to help you win fantasy matchups. And if he doesn't, he's going to be useless. And so for that reason, he's a guy that I am holding on to, and I may very well regret it on a lot of teams. We'll know quick, right? We're going to know if he's built for it or if he's not. But I don't know. He's one of the polarizing. There's always a running back that is super polarizing, whether it's Damian Williams or Kenyon Drake or whoever the hell else it is. Yeah, I think it's Daryl Henderson this year. So I know you're not a huge Daryl guy, but talk about him a little bit. Give me your guy.
Well, we'll just go off topic again. I have him as my bust of the division.
Okay.
Now it's hard for the RB31 in a dynasty startup, but I'm easily going to take my man Damien Harris, who's going RB33 ahead of him. His pass protection has not been good. I was trying to pull up his PFF passing grade real quick, but it's not been good. And I think what's going to happen is at some point they're going to bring in a body. The theory that I've heard floated out there by the non-fantasy but yet football-related content creators is that they're going to wait and see who other teams cut. Other running backs that make, like Wayne Gallman. If Wayne Gallman,
that's a good move.
If Wayne Gallman was a guy who gets cut in San Francisco because they're going to keep Trey Sermon, and they have the other, I think it's Khalil Herbert. Is that right? I know they have a second rookie. I think Herbert may be in Chicago. I'm drawing a blank. This is freestyling off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But they've got the other rookie. They've got Trey Sermon, and they've got Raheem Mostert, who's got a pretty sizable contract. If they let Wayne Gallman go, he's a potential fit in this offense. Jordan Wilkins. I heard this on another podcast. Again, I don't want to steal someone else's work. I think Jordan Wilkins is a good fit for this backfield. I think the Rams will look to bring in a guy like that. I think Henderson will do fine to get off to the first couple of games of the season. And then slowly over the course of the season, the running back they bring in between now and week 1 will eventually, I don't want to say steal the job, but will definitely eat into the workload, and you'll never get more for Daryl Henderson in your dynasty league than you will now. I know people have gotten first for him. Sure. And here's the thing, I'll gladly give you Daryl Henderson and my second for your first. I will do that right now, and let's go. You still get some draft. I'm going to start with a third, Jerry, because you know how I am. You try to trade with me from times. But I'll go as high as Daryl Henderson in a second for your first, especially in a super flex, because I want all the extra pulls at the quarterback position. Pretty good running back class next year, so pretty easy. That's my bust. So, Jerry, I've worked way ahead of the schedule, so you're good. You've got to let me get my guy. The guy that I'm going to wish I had traded going into the season is none other than Mr. Unlimited, Mr. Russell Wilson. He's the QB7 in a dynasty startup, and he's going ahead of young guys that I absolutely love, like all the rookies, well, at least 3 of them, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence. And I'll be honest, if I had Russell Wilson on my roster right now, I'd be going to see what I could get for Russell Wilson. I want your Matt Stafford. I'll give you Russell Wilson. And I want your 2022 first, because per our friends at the DTC, the official calculator of the Dynasty WarZone, a 2022 random first and Matthew Stafford for Russell Wilson straight up is almost the perfect trade. I think it's slightly like 2%, 3%, slightly ahead of the Stafford and a pick side, but I think I'm going to get pretty close to the same quarterback production in my lineup, and I'm going to get a free first. And they're about the same age. Russ is 32, Stafford's 33, so it's not a huge deal, but I'm going to be looking to move Mr. Unlimited, try to get younger at the position, or try to keep similar points in my roster, in my lineup every single week while adding some draft capital. Jerry, what do you think about my take on Mr. Unlimited?
Yeah, he's a cringy son of a gun, isn't he? But yeah, now that's an easy one too.
That's a good word, cringy.
He's just, he's been good, and he's been good for a long time. But you're right. I mean, if I could get that deal that you said with Stafford, I'm snapping that in a damn second. But
how many points per game do you think you're giving up if both guys play optimally? 3?
Yeah, maybe. If they play optimally, I don't know, because Stafford is a effing machine too. So,
and I think Stafford's going to be bananas this year because of Daryl Henderson.
Right.
Sean McVay does run the ball more than people think, just like Seattle throws the ball more than people think. But I do believe that on a points per game basis, you're not sacrificing too much, and I'm going to have that extra first tucked in my pocket. If I'm contending, I can use that extra first to buy me a running back down the playoff stretch. That first is going to give me some flexibility, whereas Russell Wilson he's just not a league winner.
No,
he is as a QB2. If you have Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson as your QB2, it's a different conversation.
Yes.
But if I've got Josh Allen as my QB1 and you've got Russ, but I can get a Matthew Stafford as my 2, I'm not that far off.
No.
So I'm just trying to keep a points per game basis good while adding some extra capital. So go ahead.
You know me. Like I'll lose a trade every single time if I can get at least some sort of value out of it. So I'm throwing a second on my side to get that Stafford in a first too. But that's because I'm not.
I don't.
I see.
That's
at
the
Randy.
classic move. See,
It is a
we have a
classic
lot
move.
of new Dynasty gamers who
That's
are
true.
joining us because of all the kind people who do ratings and reviews for this show. It pushes us up the iTunes algorithm. When you search Dynasty Fantasy Football, it pushes us up. But we do have some new members. You know, a classic is that, listen, I'm losing this trade. So I'll tell you right now, you can go to the Dynasty. Don't be a dick. Rule number 1, don't be a dick. Don't send a screenshot of the calculator. Tell them to go do the work. Tell them to sign up for the calculator over at the DTC. Hey, you go look. I'm giving you Russell Wilson and a third for Stafford and a first. And I'm losing this deal, but let's get this deal done. Jerry, I'm not above that. I'm not above reminding you that I'm losing this deal. Just like I lost a deal to you, you know. I mean, I got Trevor Lawrence and a third. I gave you Carson Wentz and Najee Harris. I had to lose that deal. I had to lose that deal to win that deal.
Yeah, did you? Did you? Until Carson Wentz ain't even going to play. Well, we'll see. That's a different conversation.
It's not actually fun for me because that was like the
now.
first Carson Wentz share that I had moved all year. So I secretly kicked myself in the junk. All right, who's the biggest upside play in the division? Give me your big upside guy.
Well, I mean, I think Trey Lance is easy, but I'm not going to say him because we don't know if he's actually going to play or when he's going to play. So I'm just going to say Matthew Stafford. Because go ahead.
Hold on real quick
ahead.
before you go into Matthew Stafford because I love him as well. If Trey Lance does not play, you will never get a cheaper opportunity to get Trey Lance.
Of course.
Because the person who has Trey Lance in your Dynasty League, you know, maybe they start contending and out of sight, out of mind. And just think back to Patrick Mahomes' rookie year. He literally sat every game. And would it surprise you if Jimmy Garoppolo played that Alex Smith role? Got this like Kansas City that year. He got them off to a hot start. They made the playoffs. If Jimmy G stays healthy and they're winning, you're not going to see Trey Lance.
Correct.
And think about what you could have got not Trevor Lawrence, what you could have got Patrick Mahomes for during that season, like week 9, versus what he costs now.
Yeah.
That is the window that Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy Garoppolo, and the 49ers are giving you in Dynasty. They are giving you a window about October 31st. Put it on your calendar. On Halloween, I'm going to dress up like Jerry Sinclair for Halloween right after I send a trade offer for Trey Lance. That's what I'm doing. I'm putting in a calendar reminder right now. Jerry, I'm sorry I hijacked your conversation about Matthew Stafford.
No, you're good. Always good Dynasty gem. So it's Matthew Stafford just because the dude has never been on a team that was actually legitimate, that was actually trying to win. When we were good, and I say we like I'm a Lion, but was 2011, you know, they had Calvin Johnson going absolutely bananas, but it was because Stafford threw for 41 touchdowns that they were even in that situation. The Lions have never been a contender. He has never been on a contending team. The only reason they have any wins is because he got them wins when they didn't deserve any of them. He's got a surrounding cast. He's got good wide receivers. He's got a good head coach. I'm excited to watch Matthew Stafford, and I know it's detrimental to the Detroit Lions, and I don't care. They deserve to have all the pain that they get because they deserve it so much. I'm rooting for Matthew Stafford. I hope Matthew Stafford wins a Super Bowl, and I hope it pisses off the entire city of Detroit because they will all deserve it. Stafford to the moon, man.
Stafford to the moon.
He's like, I don't want to say he's Dan Marino because Dan Marino was a one-of-a-kind guy and a one-of-a-kind, you know, sort of talent in that generation, but he just reminds me of Dan, and I just want him to snap that Super Bowl snafu, get over the top, win.
You know, I feel more John Elway.
Too. Okay, that's fine too. If he wants to win back-to-back, that's fine.
Was it John Elway the number 1 overall pick?
He was.
So
he threw a hissy fit, but yeah.
Well, he didn't want to play for my Colts.
Yeah.
So, but big arm, number 1 overall pick, had to play way late in his career to get a championship. Let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
So Sean McVay got this Rams team to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff, who we've all been convinced is terrible, right?
Right.
So what happens if Matthew Stafford is one and done in the playoffs this year? Now remember, Jared Goff, no, there was no fans in Seattle, but Jared Goff went to Seattle where he wasn't the starter with a broken digit and led that team. Whether you like it or whether you don't, I know the defense did the heavy lifting. Whether you like it or whether you don't, he was the QB when they won that game. What does it look like for Matthew Stafford if they say go one and done or don't even make the playoffs in this division? Because it's possible.
It is. And listen, if he doesn't win a playoff game, oh my God, I'm not turning on Detroit sports radio for at least 2 months. Because the thing is, like, Stafford hasn't ever won a playoff game. And that's the huge thing that you hear about every single time anyone talks about Stafford. So to just continue that somewhere else, oh my God, that'll be a shit show.
All right. Well, speaking of a shit show, give us your biggest upside play in the division. Now, I don't have to give you my outperform guy, but give me your biggest upside play.
Yeah, well, that was Stafford, but my outperform guy is going to be Coop. I got you.
And but go ahead. I owe my biggest upside play.
Well,
but keep going.
Let's do that first.
My guy's Deebo Samuel. I'll keep it pretty short and simple.
Okay.
Deebo is wide receiver 36 per Fantasy Pros Dynasty ADP. You know, he's in a real weird wide receiver twilight zone with guys like Juju, DJ Chark, Waddle, Odell Beckham. And just to me, the reason why I think he's a value, and I've said this before, is Brandon Ayuk is going as wide receiver 20. So I can literally wait rounds and rounds and rounds to go by, and I could still get Deebo Samuel. Now, Deebo's biggest bugaboo on his resume today is his health. But Deebo, to use a Jerry Sinclair word, Deebo Samuel, when he gets the ball in his hand, that man is a damn dog. And that's part of the reason why he gets hurt so much. So if we look back in 12 months, or maybe not even 12, 9. If we look back in 9 months, we look back next May, and Deebo Samuel had more targets, more receptions, and more yards than Brandon Ayuk. Jerry, are you stunned?
No, he's just the type of player that I don't love because you usually have to manufacture targets for him. But no, I would not be stunned at all.
And that's my thing. You know, we talked about the offense earlier. It's a lower volume passing offense. And this is a team that clearly wants to play with a lead, let that defense do its thing. So between the volume and the cost, it's the acquisition cost.
Yeah.
A wide receiver 36 with his level of talent, yak.
Which is funny because it took 1 year, right? It took 1 year of injury for that ADP to just plummet. Because last year he was the guy, like he was the hype guy.
He was last year's Brandon Ayuk. He was in that spot last year. You know, now I can go get the cheaper version and probably get about the same production.
Yep.
So for me, he's going to be a big value. I didn't see a ton of other value, you know, in this division anyway. So who's your guy to outperform his current value?
So this one is, I'm going to keep this one short because it's for the same reason that I liked Matthew Stafford. It's Cooper Kupp. I'm not going to get Randy to argue against that. That's been his man's for a while.
Every damn day there is another GIF video of Cooper Kupp just doing gnarly things to defensive backs. I'm here for it.
It's funny because when he was a prospect, I didn't want anything to do with that dude. Yeah, I did not. But he's a dog. To use a Jared. Yeah. Well, I've done that before, Hakeem Butler. So I like Cooper Kupp.
Why are you telling on yourself?
Hey,
why are you doing
it? Listen. You got
when he breaks out as a tight end, you get to run it all back. You get to run it all the way back.
And then when he has to walk off the field, the Giants, just like Kelvin Benjamin, then I'll get spit in my face again. But Cooper Kupp's just a man. Like, I don't know how much people want to watch this man just dominate everybody that he plays against. He's good. And now he's got Stafford.
He's great.
There. Exactly.
I think he.
And where's he go? Like the 9th or the 10th round?
Dude, he's wide, per Fantasy Pros. He's wide receiver 28.
Okay, kiss my ass.
He's in a. I mean, and speaking of wide receiver 28, that's his age, and I think that has part of it. But he has one of those games. As long as he doesn't have too many more lower body injuries, it's going to age really well. He just got a new contract. He's going to be paired up with Matthew Stafford. These two are making beautiful music together in the preseason. Jerry, I already gave you my guy to outperform his. It was Gerald Everett.
Yep.
And I gave you my bust. It was Daryl Henderson. So all you owe us is your bust.
Okay. Mine's Chase Edmonds. He's a guy I like. He's a guy I have tons of share of because he was free, and I am an avid and vocal Kenyon Drake hater. So I liked Chase Edmonds. Given the opportunity, though, he has not.
Jerry, you're a hater of a lot of things.
I mean, that's true. But in my defense, the Kenyon Drake hatred has actually stood the test of time for the most part, outside of 3 games. But Chase Edmonds is one. I mean, you're taking that guy too early in startups, and he could easily be in a timeshare with James Conner. And if you're in a timeshare with James Conner, who's like 26 years old and
you're not very good.
Exactly. So it sucks because honestly, this could have been my hold and wish that I flipped him guy. But the problem is his trade value right now is just not high enough. So I didn't want to put him there. I think it's Chase Edmonds, just because people are legitimately relying on him. And come redraft time, even more people are going to rely on him because it's only going to take one of the big guys, one, Matthew Berry or one Field Yates or something, to say Chase Edmonds is the guy you should take. And then that ADP is going to go up, and then it's even worse. Yeah, and you can flip him.
So here's the thing. I got two things. One, when I think of Chase Edmonds, I think of this.
What I'm saying to you is you should give it to somebody that don't know any better, because that's a fugazi. All right?
That's a fugazi? How do you know it's a fugazi? You looked at it for 2 seconds.
Well, it's a fake.
But yeah, I know what a fugazi is.
I can look at Chase Edmonds for 2 seconds and tell you he's a fugazi. And for me, when I see a really weird, shitty, ambiguous backfield, I'll just take the cheapest piece. Give me Eno Benjamin. In that backfield. James Conner, God love him for coming back for cancer and playing his heart out. I give you a big thumbs up on the toughness scale, but I don't think he makes it. We both don't think Chase Edmonds is, I think people really, 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 really want him to be like an Austin Eckler type, and they're going to be really, 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 really disappointed when he's a fugazi. So there you go, Jerry. A quick under an hour show. I appreciate you jumping on with me on a Thursday.
Honestly, even better job to you with I decided to scuba dive for the first little bit, and you filibustered your ass off and got us here. But
people always are like Memphis. You're always wearing the old school DJ looking headphones. Or you listen to a Walkman.
And look at this millennial looking like a fool today.
You got like a Walkman with like a cassette tape, listening to like Michael Jackson's Bad. No, I don't. But I never have headphone issues. So, Jerry, now you have on the nice corded headphones. You've learned a valuable lesson.
My gaming headset.
We threw out some extra Dynasty nuggets that we didn't normally do. We talked about patience. We can go out on that because you were kind of messing around. My thing is that's one of the things that I think we live in a world of short attention span theater. I think we live in a world where everything requires a reaction. We can't be measured anymore in 2021. A social issue pops off on social media. We all feel the immediate need to voice our 2 cents on it. And sometimes the best action is no action. Sometimes the best action is just to sit there and let the situation play out. That's why when you were adjusting your headphones, I was talking about Carson Wentz. We're going to know more in about 10 days. What's going to change to your Dynasty roster in the next 10 days? Jesus H. Christ on a popsicle stick, guys. You've waited since January. 10 more days is not going to kill you, but the move you make could set your roster back a year, 2 years. And this was the question, and this was great. This is why I love talking to our patrons. I love them. They keep me motivated, hungry, and humble to hustle harder to put out a better product. But and when we got done, he was like, you know what, that's a really good point. Because the offer was like, he was giving up, I think it was a tight end like Robert Tonyan and a first for something, I don't know. And I was like, is the price going to go up between now and September? He's like, no, the guy's had Aaron Rodgers on the trade block for a while. I'm like, cool beans, man. Cool beans. We get that final diagnosis on Wentz's foot, and it's like, guys, we're going to get him in week 6. I want you to go back to that fellow GM. Here is Robert Tonyan. Here is my 2022 first, as you originally asked for. Give me Aaron Rodgers. Then I'm operating with more clarity, more certainty, and I know that move. Because here's the thing. This is how my life works. This is how my luck works. I trade for Aaron Rodgers today. He slips on one of those Jeopardy note cards that he left on the stairs. He takes a tumble, and he re-breaks that collarbone that he's already broken twice. And then I've got 2 hurt quarterbacks. Now, if someone's going to give you a smoking hot deal on a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen, whereas maybe you can move Carson Wentz in that first and you can get to that level of quarterback, different conversation. Some deals are snap accept. This is not that deal. So sometimes you just have to lay out, let it play out, and it will usually work out. Jerry, I'm done preaching, at least for the next couple of minutes.
No, that was good. Listen, like David said, your sermons today have been spot on. They're wonderful. Loved every second of them. That's the thing. It's funny because in my oldest dynasty league, I have a weak wide receiver 3, and I was going to send out some trades for him, like just to improve it. And I was going to flip Daryl Henderson. So, I'm a man of my word. I will try and flip Gerald Henderson. But I was like, why am I doing this right now? Like, let this man get 17 points in a game. So that way I don't got to overpay and they're not thinking about Cam Akers anymore because Cam Akers isn't going to be on the field anymore. So I'm with you. Love it. Preacher Randy tearing it up.
The only thing I'm acquiring right now is 2022 firsts. Give me all of them. Because they're the only thing guaranteed to go up in value.
Sure.
And there's no roster that will not benefit from getting more firsts. If you're a contender and you get a couple of extra firsts and you're contending down the backstretch and you want to go get a running back or a wide receiver or a quarterback upgrade so you can win that ship, guess what you can use as currency because you need those players. You can't move the damn players that got you to that level. So what do you have? Oh, wait a second. I have a couple of extra firsts. Let me move some of those. Or if you're a non-contender, now's a great time to start moving some of those middling age veterans. If you're not a contender, it's a great time to move Zeke or Aaron Jones or Nick Chubb or Derrick Henry or Devontae Adams. It's a great time to start moving those mid-20-somethings that are great for contenders but aren't great for you. And you can stack those first, and then you're going to be able to look in about November and someone's going to realize I'm out of it. And they're going to be like, shit, Jerry's got my first. And Jerry's over there like, that's right, sucker. Keep on sucking. You keep on sucking because I want your first to be worth more. There's no better time to acquire. I think, Jerry, would you agree now is the cheapest time to get a first?
Absolutely. Without question.
The rookie drafts are over.
Right. So right now.
Now?
And then like 3
right
weeks.
Now.
Right now. And then 3 weeks
now.
before the playoffs. When people,
I would even argue but by that point the non-contenders are just trying to hoard them up.
Well, that's true, but like the team that's making the push, and not for the championship, just to get in, you're too desperate. You're going to screw your roster up. The bad player, no offense, I know you're out there. I've done it a few times. I've learned my lesson. That person, they exist, and they will try. Maybe they have somebody that's injured, and they're trying to survive it so that they can get into the playoffs. Their player will get back. They can convince themselves they're going to win the championship. You can manipulate people then too. But in general, I agree with you. It's right now, and it's going to be this way for about the next 5 weeks or so. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. This is the time of year where people just set first on fire.
Yep.
They just trade. People have already done it. People already give it up first.
Especially teams that have not played yet.
That's a great call. If you're still doing startups, so from now until probably week 5 when teams realize they're out of it, and they start packing it up and packing it in and start preparing for next year, you've got about Jerry's right for once, a 5-6 week window to get all the 2022 first you can gobble up. They're the only asset you can get that's guaranteed to go up in value. But what's going to go up in value is you. You're valuable to us. Subscribe, rate, review the show everywhere. Thank you for sticking around to the end. You got the bonus content, the strategy-based content that Jerry and I normally talk about off the air. But until next time, that man's name is Gerald J. Sinclair. You can follow him at JerrySinDWZ. You can follow me at DWZ Memphis. And until next time, thanks for listening. And we're here to make the world a better place for fantasy football. See you soon, guys. Take care.